this is Brian Choi. We're two of the leads for Could Make It on a game called TheMaestros. We're not going to give our full presentation today. We have next week where you guys will see all the cool spoilers and everything. But we'll give you a little snippet into our game because we want to talk to you about it and we want to show it off. So TheMaestros is a 3D network multiplayer RTS. Kind of like these, like StarCraft or like Command & Conquer, Age of Empires, what have you. Cool games like this. And in light of that, what we're not trying to make is this. This is a story and a campaign and all these things. We want to have an awesome world, but we want you guys to fight in it. And that's all we want to do. So we want less of this. We're not going to have StarCraft Group War campaign scenes where they sit there and talk for 5 minutes while you're like, come on, let's start. And we're not going to have full motion videos like Command & Conquer Red Alert 3, which means unfortunately you're not going to see this guy rolling around in an awesome panda suit. Probably. So we're going to have more of this. A lot less story and a lot more action. So you guys throwing big armies at each other and, you know, just having awesome combat. So what's our game about beyond that? The specifics of our game are these 4 design pillars, and everything that we do is going to be an attempt to achieve these 4 design pillars. One is mobility. We like our RTS games fast, and we like them to be accessible. We want to bring new people into the genre who love games, but maybe we're a little bit, you know, worried about that massive wall of user interface on StarCraft or more complex RTS games. And we want punchy combat. You know, something like the Thor is the type of unit that we want to see. Big explosions, you know, giant hulking robots, things like that. Instant engagement is another thing that's very important for final games. If you guys have been to a demo day, we have a very short time period to show off our game. And traditionally, RTS games have this build-up. I personally don't find the build-up particularly exciting. Scouting is cool, but only if you're like a top-level player. And that's the only time it gets exciting. So let's bring the combat in earlier, very quickly. So let's talk a little bit about gameplay specifics. So the game is centered around a commander. Your commander can move around, run around, but he also builds units. So he's going to be producing your units, and he's going to make these little minions that'll run around. He'll use cool abilities. Maybe he can recall, like the mothership in StarCraft 2, where he can teleport large groups of units. Maybe he can do crazy, massive area of effect attacks, something like that. But the game ends when he dies, so you want to protect this guy. Be careful about where you're placing him on the map. This gives us a really interesting point of contention in the game, and I'm sure it'll make the game more clear to people when it ends, when it begins, things like that, and it's easier to track the progress of the game based on this guy's health. So the main mechanic is transformation. This is what's going to make this game exciting. You run in with 100 Zerglings, and you realize, oh my gosh, he has Banshees. That's not good. So that's a ground unit versus an air unit, and he can't touch each other. So what could happen if you could run back? Here's a little melee guy on our game.
Rambam.
His name is Rambam. You like him? So what if you could run back to your base and transform him into something big and crazy and cool like this? Wouldn't help in the other scenario where you have to attack air unless this guy can jump really high. But you can change the pace of the game very quickly. You can change turn the tables very quickly. The other one is that our map is going to be very dynamic. How are we going to force you to engage early and quickly? We're going to use the map. So maybe at minute 1, the resources are here, and this is where you're collecting. But at minute 2, it's only here. So if you want more money, you got to dive in there and get it. And then we give you a chance to go back and maybe harvest and build up again or something like that. We're going to make it happen very quickly. And this is actually an example of one of our maps right now in our prototype, but we'll get to that. So, Brian.
So this is really awesome. So we're going for the visual direction of the game as a very bright, easy to digest, and simple forms. We can say hand-painted all day, but we're specifically going for a very cute but aggressive Van Gogh painting. What we mean by that is the mark making involved with Van Gogh's painting. So short lines or medium lines that contribute to like form or creates like a motion within like the elements that they're painted in. And thematically, we're having very faction-based oriented races. So Prussian steel and diesel meets gaudy scientism, where these kind of 2 disparate factions are duking it out over the same resources on the map throughout the world that they're fighting in, much like Legend of Korra or Star Wars. This is an example of one of the environment concept art pieces we have. So as you can see, we want this Very majestic fantasy feel right now. So these are like islands floating in clouds, but then there's like tree roots going through them, connecting them all together, and a lot of color, a lot of verticality or implied verticality at the very least. And scale-wise, not super huge. I mean, you can still see the person there and whatnot. Now this is our render target. So games like League of Legends or Torchlight more or less just end up with a diffuse map. We're going for AAA production pipeline, so diffuse map, normal map, specular maps, maybe height maps, but DX11 isn't guaranteed across all machines. But this is only specifically saying, we want a AAA quality kind of art pipeline.
Okay. Sorry, did you have anything else? No. Okay. Go on then. So this is a big game. RTSs are big. There's a lot of content. So how are we going to streamline this game for new players, for it to be less of an intimidating factor? And how are we going to streamline this game so it's something we can build in a year with a group of students? So to give you an idea where our scale is out, here's StarCraft to the far left. They're big, sprawling tech tree. Warcraft 3 is kind of in the middle, and we're going for a little bit smaller than that. We still need to have the variety in the game. We're thinking between 5 and 8 units per race, and the class changing is going to kind of make that variety go a long way. And fewer buildings. The other thing about our game is that buildings are all moving and all dynamic, like that commander that you saw. So that's why I put buildings in quotations there, and our population is going to be a little bit smaller. We want to reduce the burden on our engineering team and give our art team a lot of places to show off their awesome work. So we have an awesome team already, and we're looking for more people. So far we have about half a dozen Final Games veterans and people with experience all across the board from Blizzard and Riot Games and Microsoft, IBM, all over the place. And here's some of the positions we've filled. We have about half a dozen people working on art, handful of designers, handful of engineers, and we have our composer Sabriel Augustine, who's from Berkeley and has done amazing work for us before. We've worked with her before, and we have a mentor who's currently working on Command and Conquer Generals 2, and we're currently talking with a couple other people in the industry working on RTS games. So, moral of the whole story and what we're actually getting at here, if you want to work with us, let us know. Email me at this address, come up and talk to me or anybody else on the team. If you're on the team right now, please raise your hand. So talk to any of these people over here. If you want to join the team, some of our artists and designers over here, or talk to me and send me an email. Specifically, we need more people with 3D modeling and animation. There's a lot of content to produce, as I said. We're still looking for engineers, and we're still looking for another designer or two.
Specifically for art, we're looking for character artists, environment artists, people who can rig, people who can animate 3D characters. As you can see, we're dealing both with organic forms like humanoids or beasts and robots.
Yeah, you saw the two different factions there, kind of the one that was transforming, that was more organic, and then the more mechanical, robotic one.
The sooner you can join, the earlier you can get in on the pre-production that's going on right now. The art you see is not final, it's still being massaged out. The earlier you can join, the more input you can have on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, we currently have a multiplayer prototype, and we want you guys to come in and play it this weekend. We're testing out our core mechanics, seeing what's working and what's not, so that we have this stuff nailed out before we go into production next year. So here's some time slots if you want to come in. Email me, come up and talk to one of us, and we'll find you a place that you can play it. Yeah, thank you guys.